Hello, this is Mrs. Fay, the Penn State Teach Ag SAE Specialist, brought to you by the Penn State Center for Professional Personnel Development and the Pennsylvania Association of Agricultural Educators. Today we're going to learn about completing the clipboard and SAE review in your AET record book. The first thing you're going to want to do is log into your AET account and go to your Experience Manager. Now this video is going to assume that you have already set up and completed an SAE project. My SAE project, the first SAE project that I have that we're going to talk about today, is my beef butchering exploratory project, where I went to a butcher shop and I observed for a period of time because I want to be a butcher in the future. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the clipboard or the review, and I'm going to enter a review of my project for the year 2014. So what I did is I spent 5 hours at Johnny's Butcher Shop, where I learned the butchering process from start to hanging. I am interested in becoming a butcher, so Johnny offered me a part-time job. Now, the thing to remember about the clipboard or the review is that this description is written in the past tense because this is what you did in your project. This is not about what you're going to do, but it's all about what you have done in your project. You need to include something that you learned, something that you observed, something that happened in your project that was interesting to you. The next project that I worked on this year is a wildlife research project where I did some research with quail and the quality of feed and how it related to their egg quality. So as I started my project, I completed my SAE plan. That's the first thing that you need to do after you set up your project at the very beginning. And now my project is all finished. I have recorded some journal entries, and if your project includes financial entries, make sure you have those updated. And now I'm going to choose the clipboard and do the review of my project. So you can see my project was completed in 2014. And my description or my review of my project says that in my quail research project, I determined that the quality of quail feed has a direct impact on the number of eggs laid and hatched. You can add more information and more description of things that you learned in your project in your description. And when you finish typing that, you can hit save. The next project that I completed was a greenhouse placement project where I worked in the school greenhouse outside of class time. I worked after school and I worked weekends. I helped the teachers out by coming into the greenhouse over the weekends and watering as it was needed. So I'm going to click on my clipboard, my annual review, and you can see that I have several years this year. I have several years in this project because I completed this project over 4 years. And it was an ongoing project. It did not end at the end of the calendar year, so I just kept this project continuing from year to year. So the first year, my description or my review says that this year I worked in the school greenhouse after school and on the weekends. I helped the teachers and other students with watering and scouting for insects. So that is what I did for the first year, and that description or that review would have been written at the end of 2014. Now in 2015, you can see I continued the project, and this year I continued to water the greenhouse after school and on the weekends. My horticulture teacher taught me how to program the greenhouse computer and determine temperature settings and how to adjust the vents. So now you can see from one year to the next, I have grown in my experience and I'm learning more about horticulture and the greenhouse. Now in 2016, again the project continued on, and I'm learning more in the greenhouse, so I can say now that this year I learned how to calibrate the fertilizer system and helped my horticulture teacher to set up and monitor the irrigation system that she purchased with a grant. And remember, at any time in this video, you can stop it and you can type in your own information and then you can continue. So the next year, in 2017, you would assume now that I'm a senior and I have even more responsibility. I continued to work in the greenhouse and became the greenhouse manager. I set up the automatic controls and taught the other students how to scout for pests and to control them using our biologic controls. Now remember that most of the work that I did was done in addition to class time. It may have been done during a study hall or a club period or homeroom or whatever extra time you have available in your day, or it may have been before or after school or on the weekends. So then I hit save and then I can continue. That will take me back to my experience manager and I can continue with the next project. I want to draw your attention back to my quail project for just a second, and the button over here on the left, that is the green button that toggles active or inactive. What will happen is my quail project is finished. I completed that. It's all done. So I'm going to click on the green button and that will make that project become inactive. It drops down to the bottom of my screen. Here it is. And now when I open any menus or I pull down any menus, like in the SAE project list, that project will not appear there anymore, and that takes away the risk of me entering a journal activity or a financial entry in an incorrect project. Now I'm going to move on to my rabbit breeding project. And you can see that the clipboard is not complete in my rabbit breeding project because it has a red X next to it. I have completed the plan and I've completed weekly journal entries, and I've also completed financial entries as any expenses came up during my project. So I'm going to click on the clipboard or the annual review, and I'm going to take a look at what I have written already for my 2014 rabbit breeding project. So in the 2014 year, I had or worked with a total of 10 rabbits. So my description for my breeding rabbits for 2014 goes like this. I had 2 does and 1 buck when I started in the ag program. Number 26, who was a doe, had 4 bunnies, and number 21 had 3 bunnies. I sold 3 bunnies at the Lebanon Area Fair as a meat pen. I sold 2 bunnies to a fellow FFA member and transferred 2 does to my replacement bunny project. So that tells me, as a review of my project, how many bunnies I had, who the breeding animals were, and what happened to those bunnies or to those offspring. So you want to remember, as you're working with breeding animals, make sure you indicate in this review what happened to each of the animals at the end of the year. And the end of the year is probably going to be December 31st. But you need to remember also that breeding projects continue from year to year. So you can see I have a 2015 entry here, and the 2015 box opened because I have financial and journal entries in 2015. And you can see that I have boxes for 2016 and 2017 because, again, I have journal and financial entries in those years. If you have any questions as you're going along and you're not sure what to put in the review area, you can go up to the top and you can look at the title at the top where it says Annual Review of Scope, and you can hover over that green question mark. Anytime you see a green question mark in AET, that opens a little box, and that little box will give you some additional information. Now I'm hovering over the green question mark, and you can see the box that opens up, the information box. You may be asking yourself, why is it important that I complete this SAE review, and why does it have to be completed in a certain way? Well, as you can see, I have opened up our State FFA Keystone Degree application. In the Keystone Degree application, the SAE review comes into the entrepreneurship part, or the project description section of that application, as a description of what you did in that project. So you can see in 2014 I had a market steer that is dated 2015 because I bought it in 2014 and with the intent of selling it in 2015. I bought 2 steers, and you can see my description is I purchased 1 Angus steer to show at the Lebanon Area Fair in 2015 and 1 Hereford steer as a buddy steer that my family will butcher. Now back in the other window, we did a review for my rabbit breeding project, and here it is in my Keystone Degree application. It says I had 2 does and 1 buck that I started in the ag program, and so forth and so on. We went over that, and that feeds right directly into your Keystone Degree application, which makes it really nice to complete your records in AET because they feed directly into your award applications. So now as we scroll down into 2015, you can see that I raised my Angus steer and showed him at the Lebanon Area Fair in July. My family butchered the second one in August. I learned how to feed, show steer, and showmanship techniques. I was able to help butcher the second steer and learned about the butchering process because I had gone to the slaughterhouse and learned how to butcher in my exploratory project. So you can see now how my SAE program is all tying together. I did an exploratory project, and now I'm going to do a placement project at the butcher shop, and I have raised steers so that I know how raising steers and feeding them good feed can result in a good carcass. If you have any questions about your SAE project, you can talk to your agriculture teacher, or you can contact the SAE specialist. And remember that completed award applications start with complete and accurate SAE records.